sexy people of the internet. It is Dave, it is Duncan, back from Metal Epidemic for another album review. For this review, Duncan and I have been checking out the new album from Italian experimental progressive metal band Benthos. The band's new album, From Nothing, will be released on April 11th via Inside Out Music. So, known for their compelling fusion of progressive metal, mathcore, jazz rock, and electronic music, Benthos offers a sonic landscape where complexity and curiosity reign. Their sound is constantly evolving, marked by a deep, refined dynamism.
That's it, yeah.
Dynamism.
Yes,
I couldn't get that out there. And an unwavering pursuit of a unique musical language. Formed in 2018, Benthos first captured attention in August 2019 when their debut live performance instantly gained them recognition in the Italian metal scene. Although the band's debut album 2 was released, was delayed due to the onset of.
You got it right now. Is that what you're coughing? Fuck! He's contagious. Shut the pod down.
American label Eclipse Records stood by the group, releasing the album in 2021. The album was highly praised by the international progressive and metal communities, with some hailing it as one of the best debuts in modern prog metal, showcasing intricate technicality, complex rhythms, and powerful dynamic guitar work, seamlessly blended with serene, melodic interludes. In June 2024, Benthos completed their second full-length album, From Nothing. Comprising 12 tracks, the album weaves together a tapestry of aggressive, ethereal, chaotic, and jazzy elements, exploring a central theme through multifaceted musical perspectives. Guitars, bass, and vocals were recorded by Enrico Tripodi, with drums recorded by Matteo Magni at Magnitude Recording Studio, and then produced by Enrico Tripodi. The album
I'm almost 100% sure his surname is not pronounced Tripodi, but it does make me think he's got a huge dick, and that's just a nickname. Tripodi's coming along, eh? Third leg.
Maybe he's picked that name himself. Maybe his name isn't Tripodi. But someone's seen his cock one time, like, whoa, tripod.
I would hazard a guess at something like Tripody or something like along those lines. But let's keep calling him Tripody because it will give me nothing.
Enrico, I apologise in advance for the terrible mispronunciation of your surname. The album was then mixed by Federico Ascari and mastered by Tony Lindgren at Fascination Street Studios, promising an even more nuanced and dynamic journey for their listeners. Okay, Duncan. Benthos. Completely new band. Didn't know a thing about them. Hadn't heard of them. And then the album came in.
Single. Like, did you? Oh, you got the album. So this was a Dave scouring through the albums.
Yes, I think we did get a single in. But I
didn't have time for that.
I hadn't checked it out. And then when I read the kind of the press release, I was like, okay, this sounds.
It's like nothing good's ever come out of Italy except pizza, pasta,
everything.
Everything. Garlic bread, although we discovered that was French.
And then I was like, okay, let's give this a shot. Album 2 from Benthos. However, every year, Duncan, every year,
ladies and gents,
January, February time, we do our what's coming out this year, what we're looking forward to, and then there's also usually a little part of that video where we're like, we'll name some bands we hope will release an album.
And we want an album from this band because it, you know what, as Stained once eloquently put it, it's been a while.
Yeah. Now for the past 3 years, I've asked for a certain band to release a new album.
Stained.
And it still hasn't happened. That band are the Contortionist, Duncan.
Yes. You like Dave might be the biggest Contortionist fan outside of wherever they're from. It's America, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Outside of America, Dave is the biggest Contortionist fan.
Outside of America.
But I imagine they have like people that have been there
maybe.
since day zero, and you've not been there. They've got mums.
Yeah.
I mean, so
That's true. However, it's now been 8 years, Duncan.
8 long years, Dave.
Years.
Never
and
happened.
Not a fucking sight or sound of a new album.
I think they've recorded 4 and they're just not releasing them through spite. They're like, you know what, fuck with Dave's year. This year, see if he doesn't mention us in that what we're looking forward to video, we'll release it this year. And then they watch it and they're like that. Looks like another album's not being released. No, we'll write another new one. We'll just put it with the pile of albums that we'll put in the safe like Prince. Prince apparently had a vault full of unreleased music and albums, like albums and albums worth of material, which will never see the light of day. Which you know is probably the best music ever. But I'll never see the light of day because Prince didn't want it to happen.
No.
And the Contortionists are doing the same with you. So Dave, you have got a Contortionist-sized hole.
Fucking not even a fucking a tweet or a fucking or an X, if they're calling it now.
No, not like it. Not an Insta post.
Nothing.
Not an updating of their Facebook profile. But even Chimera can do that. And even all of that is for the re-release of something they've already released.
Duncan,
so, I mean, it's like none of that. But Dave,
not even their own mothers know if they've got an album coming out.
Their mothers, no one knows where they are.
Cunt.
We think they were abducted by aliens. But anyway, you've got a Contortionist-sized hole in your heart, Dave. Huge Contortionist-sized hole in your heart. Are you about to tell me that when you sat down and you hit play on this, your heart grew 3 sizes that day?
I had a little flutter, Duncan. A little flutter. Because the new album from Italian progressive metal band Benthos,
which is the Italian word for contortionist. They didn't know that.
This album has a slight aroma.
Oh yes,
the Contortionist. Now that's not to say that that's the only influence here. They have many influences, clearly. There's little hints of maybe Unprocessed in here. A little bit of Haken. Even maybe a little touch of like Protest the Hero.
Yes.
And in the wilder parts of their sound, there was also a little hint of a band called Destrage as well.
Yes. Destrage. R.I.P. My boys.
Were they Italian as well, actually?
They were Italian, yeah.
See, it's all making sense now. It's all making sense.
Now we have increased our Italian band knowledge by one band. That is 100% growth on this podcast.
100% growth. Edutainment, Duncan. However, vocally, they hit a lot of those kind of unusual Contortionist melodies. Which are very unique. They don't necessarily like follow the obvious route for a progressive metal kind of melody. They play a lot with like major and minor keys together, like in the same song, and I love that. It's not easy to do, which is why I love the Contortionist so much. Well, in saying that, by proxy, this also has some similarities to Last Chance to Reason, who also included members of the Contortionist. There's a bit of that.
It's very jazz.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's what jazz vocalists do. Jazz vocalists skirt between the two.
Yeah.
You know, like it's the kind of, to put it in the modern kind of reviewing parlance, when someone says, "Oh, the bass player's taking the bass for a walk," the vocalist is taking his vocals for a walk. Oh yeah, all over the place. He's walking on grass he's not supposed to. You know what I mean?
All over.
All over the place.
Yeah, he's got his shoes off and everything, Duncan. Everywhere. But it's not just in the vocal comparisons as well. Some of the heavier breakdowns on this album remind me of early day Contortionist. That the kind of timing and the rhythm is very kind of comparable to that. It's not a huge part of their sound, that the kind of breakdown thing. They aren't necessarily a band that
don't need it either.
No, they don't. Every song doesn't have a breakdown in it, but when it happens, it's like, oh, right, okay, that was satisfying. Enjoyed that. I get kind of like, and I keep referencing the Contortionist here, but again, like Contortionist releases, this is one that...
They're not like Beetlejuice. If you keep mentioning them, they're not going to like appear. Right?
By the time we've finished this review, Duncan, there will be a tweet
and
the album.
New album announced. To shut Dave the fuck up.
Similar to them, their albums, they do take like a few listens to kind of like fully kind of digest. There's a lot going on musically.
And this album, oh yes.
Yeah.
This is not a one and done.
No,
this is not a one and like, you know what? I'm just gonna the second one. It's not gonna affect my score. It's just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
No.
The compositions of these tracks are not conventional. So like knowing where each track is going to go is almost like impossible to predict. Which does mean you're going to need a bit more time with this album to fully get your kind of head around it. But over time, like I found that it definitely becomes more familiar the more I listen to it. And while I'm not there on every single thing they do on this album, to quote someone in this podcast, there's a lot to like here, Duncan.
Oh, we have to do a shot. We have to do a shot. Cheers.
Oh, no. Let me drink there.
We are going to start metal epidemic bingo, which is just like it's going on a journey. Oh fuck! Here we go again. Oh.
On a t-shirt, maybe, Duncan. Eh? Wink, wink. Hello there, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
That's not the catchphrase for the top banner of the merch page. I don't know what is.
Musically, these guys are fucking outrageous, right?
It's different level, Dave. It's like I've listened to a lot of music. You've listened to a lot of music. Like at this point, could we see hundreds of hours of music? Like, could we see thousands of it? Could we see tens of? Could we see hundreds of thousands of hours?
Yeah, probably.
I think I class myself as a connoisseur of like really good musicianship, right? And every now and again, you sit and you listen to something, and there'll be a musical flurry, and you go. Like you just like intake a breath here. So that is just so intricate, so fast, and so well placed, and so unexpected, but so amazing.
Yeah.
Like you do kind of have to like just like take a wee moment to yourself. Yeah, this is like it's the long stare at the distance. Where you're like,
yeah, you almost feel just like a really shit musician after listening to this album. You're like, why did I even bother? Because like
these guys are right there.
Yeah, like that is. You can't even really put it into words how good these guys are. I wouldn't be surprised if they weren't like classically trained in some kind of way.
Must be.
It has that kind of air about it. There's so much precision here. There's so much just the fluidity to the playing is just unbelievable on this, and not just in the guitars, like the bass and the drums as well. The bass lines on like Fossil, for example.
Yeah.
Fuck me, just nuts. Like just super proggy, almost in a kind of like not like a kind of similar heaviness, but kind of between the Buried in Me kind of type, kind of musicianship and that kind of bass playing. It was just ridiculous.
That's how metronome precision tight they are as well. It's just like I'd like to add to that. Not only are they all exceptional, but their timing is fucking and clearly like they must have been in bands before, because this is only album 2, but the kind of songwriting and the arrangements on this album, the ideas are just like they're on a different level. This does not come across like this is our second album, guys. These guys have clearly been in bands before, or like just like stolen from their mothers as babies and purely locked away in a bunker with instrumentation and just like for their entire life writing music, because it's not even daunting. It's spectacular. Even if this isn't your particular brand of metal, it's hard not to listen to this and be like, fucking hell. Like there was a lot of people that didn't like Between the Buried and Me when not Between the Buried and Me. Well, a lot of people didn't actually like Between the Buried and Me when the first Protest the Hero is that band that came out that were doing. It was the vocals that put a lot of people off, if memory serves. But the music that were like that. It's kind of like emo, the Dillinger Escape Plan, and then you listen to their stuff and it just continues to just fucking like weave these, and like it always sounded like everything they did just made perfect sense from the beginning, like, oh, that logically is where the next riff goes. And Benthos kind of have this thing where I don't think logically everything goes exactly where it should do, but I kind of love the fact that they challenge themselves to try and do it.
Yeah.
There's not one section on any one of these songs, and I will say this right now as a statement that you cannot argue with. There is not one section on this. There is not a 5 seconds on this that is slumming it.
No,
You know what I mean? Like,
no, not at all.
We'll put that riff in. It'll just as a placeholder. There is no placeholder riff here.
No.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I think what impressed me, apart from the musicianship and all that sort of stuff, was the way this album kind of evolves from track 1 to track 12 is really impressive. Like, this isn't an album that runs with like the same idea for its entirety. Benthos continually push the boundaries right to the end of From Nothing, and that second half of the album hits some extremities that I didn't expect, especially from a kind of electronics point of view, which we'll come on to. The electronics are there, like clearly, like early on.
Yeah.
Even on the intro of the album, it starts. It's fully electronic, and they have a lot of that kind of running in the background of the tracks as another kind of layer or texture. But I think when you get into the second half, the vinyl flip, shall we say, things take a little shift. You're welcome. After Recompose, which is the kind of mid-album kind of interlude, and then
which
those
recomposes the album.
It does. Those electronics and synths start to like slowly become more of a key kind of feature or component rather than just a kind of layer or a background. You'll hear them quite heavily in the middle of Pure, I think it was.
Yeah.
And then Athletic Worms goes all out with like robotics and glitchy noises and effects. But what was really cool was they match it musically. Some of the guitar work, when it gets into that kind of part of the album, it's like Dillinger meets like Candiria, with these like time signatures and like rapid runs up the fretboard. Perpetual Drone Monkey kind of it has that like real like eccentricity to it, where they go even further on some of the vocal effects and ideas while still maintaining that level of like chaos in the electronics. It's got like a heavy Last Chance to Reason vibe in the heavier parts, but also some kind of like almost Latin American kind of rhythms and the kind of percussion and the guitar work, which they do touch on earlier in the album as well. So it's not like it just kind of comes out of nowhere. It's kind of tied in nicely. Out with all the kind of like musical stuff and like acrobatics and drumnastics, vocally, this is kind of nuts. Like, not just from like a tone and melody point of view, which like the vocals could easily hang with like the likes of Mike from the Contortionist or Manuel from Unprocessed, even Einar from Leprous. There's a little bit of his melody reminds me of the dude from, and I can't remember his name, but the band are Cold Night for Alligators.
Oh yeah, we loved them.
The vocalist from that band, I want to say it was Johan something, I can't remember. It might not be that. But he has the kind of same kind of like sweetness and kind of warmth to his voice. But he can pretty much take that melody anywhere he wants. Like, there's really no restrictions for what this guy can do vocally. He doesn't push it like all the way into like on the other side of it, all the way into the red. Like, there are moments where he gets a bit more screamy, a little bit more raspy, but it never quite gets like Greg Puciato kind of ragey levels.
Once again, it's more protesty hero than it is Dillinger Escape Plan.
Yep. And he never goes really the opposite. It doesn't really go guttural level either. It's kind of like somewhere in between. He does hit some really filthy tones on the likes of Fossil, so I don't even think it's the fact that he can't go to those levels. I think he maybe chooses not to, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But it's always really interesting, like wherever he decides to take a track vocally, he, like, even when he plays it totally clean on The Giant Child, it's never predictable. The vocals are never like where you expect them to go, and that's kind of this album as a whole. Like, they have their own blueprint. they don't do conventional, which like on one half is like extremely exciting. I love a band that pushes the boundaries, and like when you're this good, like why wouldn't you? On the other side of the coin, I suppose that there is a tipping point, and there's a balance that needs that kind of like careful attention. This album,
it's the prog conundrum,
yes,
isn't it? Like
yes,
where like we both like prog music, but there's a certain level when we're like, too far.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
I think that occasionally there is a couple of steps in this album that maybe goes, oh, okay, right, just come back a little bit. Like, and I feel like there are a couple of moments where the experimentation and how far they push it maybe starts to lose me a little bit. But they are also very good at pulling me back in as well. So there are, when the moments I get kind of like, oh fuck, this is too much, like as complex and multi-layered as this gets, there are moments where they remove all that, all the kind of intricacy, and they just simplify it, which I think works brilliantly as well. And it's a good kind of technique to bring listeners back in as well. I think maybe that just for me, there's maybe a slight touch more attention needed to refine that balance, but you know, it's just finding the kind of tipping point of it. I think this is an incredibly good album. Like for album 2, as I said, these guys are fucking stupidly like amazing at what they do. And I feel like they are a band who could probably knock out a 5-star album at some point. I feel like they have, like if you looked at a checklist, these guys kind of have everything that is required. They have the ability. So I will not be surprised when that day comes, when Benthos just knock out this album that is absolute gold. They have that potential in them. This is really enjoyable album from a musician's point of view. There's lots to enjoy here. Like there's so much to pick out. Like even I've given this 4, almost 5 listens. I feel like I could still go back to it and pick more stuff out because there's just so much happening in the background of this album. But yeah, for a band I'd never heard before, I'm extremely excited to see like where this band goes. And they're on a big label as well. Inside Out are huge for prog, so they should get a really good push with this album. I'm really optimistic. I feel like these guys could do something huge going forward into the future. Really excited to see what they do next. What do you think? What do you make of this one?
So you covered a ton of stuff there, and whilst I would be covering a lot of it again, there are a few things that I think are really worth kind of doubling down on. I think it's easy to get complacent when you listen to a lot of music. That it's, you know, especially when I knew from as soon as From Nothing kicked in, like maybe even less than a minute, I was like, oh right, this is jazz infused prog, right? Yeah. With a metal twist. Cool, right? Let's see where this goes, because I know this is going to be on for about 40 minutes, and let's see how long I can hold on, because I know my interests, very much like yourself, have a point where it becomes too much for me. There's a reason why bands like Imperial Triumphant work for like half an album for me, and then I'm like, check please. Like I need to lie down. It's like it goes too far, and I was wondering how much you would push it, and how much I would stick with it. I think personally, whilst this rides the edge, even when you're getting weird robotic noises, I've listened to a lot of music that does that. So for me, I kind of lean on it. It reminded me when it started going down there on that last Haken album. Fauna, there was a track Elephants Never Forget or something along those lines, and it was all like it was all like circus music, and it was all like, and it totally was different from the rest of the album. You were like, that's an interesting choice. Don't know why that's there. It's kind of cool though, but I don't know why that's there. Like this album has moments like that. It has tracks where it just goes, you know what, let's go quirky, let's go weird, let's explore an idea musically and flesh it out, giving all the accoutrement of the sound and the writing. There is literally not a bad element for me on this. There are some choices which don't necessarily add up to the best song, but there's not a bad element here. The guitar playing is absolutely jaw-droppingly good. The singing is fucking phenomenal. This guy is very, very, very exciting as a vocalist. I just love it's the daringness of it, and like you say, he does have a tendency to switch between major and minor keys, but it's not only that, it's the versatility of the way he deploys it as well, between quiet and loud, aggressive and clean. It just is like it's almost kind of bipolar or Tourette's like shifts in the way he delivers things, and it all fucking works for me. It doesn't. It could very easily. There were certain bits in here where I was like that. Here comes a heavy riff, and they don't do it. And I kind of actually appreciate the album more for not doing that. The heavier bits stand out a lot more, because there are few and far between them on the album's runtime. I'll tell you what this did remind me of in places, and this is me every now and again. I got to throw a lesser known album in there to dig into the old new metal archives. Blow the dust off the old CD, the invisible giant CD, apparently. There was a little known Taproot approved new metal band from Canada called Pulse Ultra, who I fucking loved. And Pulse Ultra were an interesting band in that I don't think they were new metal. I think they were more alt rock, but they were lumped in there. And what I loved about them is the guitarist of Taproot, I think, produced their album. I think he also got them signed. And I could see why, because the guitarist in Pulse Ultra used lots of weird spacey effects in his guitars that sounded very much like synths. So like Digitate whammy pedals and stuff to make weird kind of spacey noises, which these guys do a lot of, right? Before the synths kick in. The first half of the album, these kind of weird spacey, like reverby sims on the guitars. And I swear to God, I'm not making this up. If you go and find Pulse Ultra, you will hear similar sims on their, granted, not prog or jazz-laden new metal tracks. The other thing I will say is the synth work on this in the back half of the album, 4-stroke Baron.
Yep.
Huge swaths of the previous 4-stroke Baron album, which was our number one album last year. Specifically, even when you reach the end on It Ends, aptly named, I was listening to that going, this could be on that album. Like, it's fucking strange. There's they use the synths in a really interesting way, either to add space and atmosphere or add decay to their songs. It's really, really interesting. So it's attention to detail there. The flow of the album's really cool.
Yeah.
Especially on the back half, and like you noted, and it was something I was going to mention as well. The fact that like the back half of the album is much more synth laden makes it much more memorable, but it does kind of feel like, not owning a vinyl player, but it does kind of feel like there is attention to detail of side 1 and side 2, which I enjoy. But there's a really cool flow. Yes, it does at times get a little bit out there. It's hard, like Athletic Worms, as much as I love the robot voices and all the rest, it does kind of ride that level of, I like it, I don't know. It's cool on the album as well. I don't know if it's maybe one step a little bit too far for me.
Yeah.
It does take me out a little bit. Perpetual Drone Monkeys plays with that, but in a much heavier tone, and it is a heavy fucking song. Even then it gets a bit glitchy in it. And they don't necessarily revisit anywhere else in there, which kind of makes those two tracks being positioned like they are slightly weird, but once again not off-putting. Yeah, as bands we've never heard of before, being on the like Inside Out music is so interesting.
Yeah,
it's so interesting, and this is another addition. I am curious, particularly for the future of these guys. Musically, there appears to be no bounds. That can go one of two ways.
Yeah,
right. That either becomes slightly more focused, slightly more reined in, and delivers the 5-star album that we both know that is in this band's prospects, or it goes avant-garde, and at that point I will gravitate to some of it, and musically it'll lose me a little bit. But as this one goes, fucking awesome. I had a pleasure. I've listened to I spun this one the most out of the albums you gave me, just purely because I had to. So I was like, I need to go. I can't even, where do I start? Like, where do you start describing an album like this out with the fact intimidating is the word I would use. But as like I say, even if you don't like progressive music, if you are a musician, listen to this and be prepared to, anyone that's like metal and all that, it's just listen to this. It's like next fucking level. Unprocessed is a good shout as well, actually. They're that sort of band that would do really well opening for more of those kind of djenty prog bands as a kind of contrast to the sound. But yeah, this is really fucking good. Really fucking good.
Okay, final thing, scores for the new Benthos album. Yeah, like as we said, incredible band, some of the best musicianship I've heard in a long time. The individual components are all there. It's just a case of balancing them right, and I think this will be a complete home run. That being said, I still found this like highly enjoyable. Played the shit out of it. The influences were a huge tick for me, obviously, as I've said. Yeah, it's not perfect, but as I said, I think that will come 100%. I feel like these guys have it in them. On this album, I'm going to go 4 out of 5. Duncan, what are you thinking?
I'm giving this 4 unreleased Contortionist albums out of 5. Just
Thank you.
Update the graphic.
Okay. Benthos From Nothing, out on April 11th on Inside Out Music. Links below to the band, to the pre-order, a picture of the tripod, and a single as well, so you can check it out. That is the review. Thank you for checking out. We'll be back with another review very soon, but until then, take care. Speak to you soon.
Bye, everyone.